What's up, Paul?
Hey, what's up, Greg? How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Good.
Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to find. I lost where my screen is. What the hell? I can hear you, but I can't see. Oh, my goodness. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Sup, survivors?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Right on.
Can do. Nice hat, by the way.
Yeah, in honor of the great Tyson Apostol, I chose to wear a stupid hat today. So
Nice choice.
if you follow Tyson at all on any social media, he is a big fan of ridiculous hats. Got my Stetson out of, I don't think he would wear this hat. This hat is not cool enough for the hats
No.
that he would wear, but I don't think so. Hi, Kate. What are you doing? It looks like you're knitting, Caitlin.
Trying to.
Wow. I mean, what did you...
She's knitting her earbuds.
Awesome. What did you guys think of the episode? Oh, or should we save it for the podcast? What do you guys think of Tiger King?
Tiger King is ridiculous. I felt sad watching it.
For who?
For the world.
For humanity, right? Yeah.
For humanity. And so, I mean, so these shows that like revel in white trash, it's a hard watch for me.
It's really hard to see that. And the animals are so badly abused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's like one nice person in that entire show, and it's the girl who got her arm ripped off.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Everyone else is a horrible human being.
Everyone else is so unsympathetic, and you're just, even the guy with no legs, you're like, what's wrong with this guy? And then they just keep introducing like seedier and seedier characters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
All this white trash, double chin weirdos.
Is it a documentary?
What's that?
Is it a documentary?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. I don't know anything about it.
I mean, the less said, the better. You should just go into it with no knowledge whatsoever and just.
But they're true stories, or is it just all fake?
Allegedly, yeah.
Apparently, although it seems almost too ridiculous to be true. So, you really, hey, Steve.
Hey, man.
What's up, buddy?
What's Steve?
Hey, not too much, man. Just relaxing.
Right on. We're all doing the same. Everyone. Oh, it looks like you're really getting the COVID beard going.
Oh, they're banging the pots outside.
Does
right, you can hear them.
Is anyone happy? Like, do you think the first responders are, like, oh my God, thank God they're banging pots for us?
I think those first responders are just about to quit and throw in the towel, and then they hear the noise and they're like, "No, I'm going to keep going. I was gonna quit, but it's a nice gesture."
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not weighing into this. It's a controversial opinion.
Is it a controversial opinion? Okay, I don't know.
I'm not weighing in.
All right, fair enough.
I'm here to talk Survivor.
Edit any controversial opinions of mine out of these. I don't want to get hate mail.
I mean, the editorial process is how involved is the editorial process, Junior?
To what?
Well, to our podcast or to our little.
I don't edit it in the week.
Well, no shit.
I post it after, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is not a professional organization. All right. Yeah. We're lucky that we can get this up there and that we can figure out this technology. So I'm impressed thus far.
I mean, I could edit the video after the fact. I just don't bother.
No, I wouldn't really.
Because there is a little bit of gibberish before, like, Paul was on at first, and then I came on, and it only starts recording when I come on. And then once it starts recording, like, me and Paul just, like, said a couple of little things, and then it just sees people popping on. Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, we should have an official sort of, like, okay, we'll start at this point, and then we'll kind of run into our little, because it takes a while for people to show up. So I say
7
at 5
o'clock
minutes
is the pots and pans.
Yeah, everyone's got to get out there and do their part.
We're 7 of us now. Where's Randy? We got to get Randy's hot take later.
Randy's knows he's towards the end of the show, so he's probably still working on it. He told me today, I was like, Randy, is your segment ready? He's like, oh man, I can't limit it to one segment. We're gonna have to do a 2-part segment. I'm gonna do my top 5 players from the first 20 seasons and my top 5 players from the last 20 seasons.
Right.
Like, hey, look, as long as we
sure
can
it's
fill
going
up
to be
some
stalked
airtime.
through of insight too.
Well, this is going to be the hottest of takes when they're going to be the worst players.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, how you doing, Kelly?
Oh, there he is. There's Kelly, and there's the Rand Man. I feel like we can officially commence our
for sure. Go for
Survivor Episode 8 discussion now. So, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go close my door.
Okay.
Profanity might come out.
What profanity?
Mm.
I have two 18-year-old boys living with me right now.
Oh, from them. Meant from us.
Maybe
Sure.
she's not happy about what happened.
So
this-
to be
this
honest, usually the
episode. I don't
profanity
know.
is coming from me, but whatever.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to episode 3 of the Sykes Survivor Talk, discussing episode 8 of our favorite show, Survivor: Winners at War. First topic up, I guess, of conversation. Let's talk about Wendell. That's the big news, is that our friend Wendell has been voted out. What do you guys think?
And Steve has disappeared.
Well, then he's not going to get his take on Wendell.
I got a text from him last night. No!
Really?
Well,
I did
they
have
set
Wendell
up,
in the pool. What's that?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Paul.
You had Wendell in the pool, and I was happy to see him go. But they did set up his exit, I think, for about 2 weeks with such a bad edit. It was no real surprise. I think the seeds have already been planted by the by voting out Yule. They had no inroads back into the main group with Sophie and Sarah. So the writing was kind of on the wall for this one.
It seemed like it was, and it had been for some time. Are we disappointed? What do you guys? I mean, we talked about Wendell a bit last time and how he was getting this extreme villain edit. I don't know. How did you guys feel?
I am fine with him going. I was sort of out on Wendell after probably second. Actually, it was when the tribe swapped and Michelle was now on the same tribe with Wendell. He seemed to change for me, and he became this dick that I just didn't like anymore. And he's been like that ever since that happened. And so I'm fine with him going. I don't think he was going to win anyway. So
okay, Caitlin.
I still thought that he was going to be the GOAT because I thought a lot of people didn't really like him. So I was surprised that they got rid of him that fast. I thought they would kind of bring him along to be the third unvoted person.
You just can't be friends with Jeremy in this game.
Yeah,
all friends of Jeremy have immediately been, not immediately, but definitely been removed. Hey, look at that. Look at who's here. Can you hear us, Dave? Okay, it'll take a sec. Wow, we're getting huge, massive turnouts for these things. What's up, Dave?
This thing's really snowballing. When are we going to start making Joe Rogan money?
Yeah, when do we make the Rogan money for these huge podcasts? For sure. We're just talking about the top story at this hour, which is Wendell having been voted out. We're going to not bury the lead here. So, other takes on Wendell at all? I mean, I picked Wendell in the pool. I'll just say I picked him in the pool. Initially, I thought, who's coming after Wendell? I think that was a reasonably safe bet coming into the show. He's a fairly low profile but talented player. He's really good at camp, and people generally liked him. I think he's down in numbers. I think he's on a small tribe coming in. I think they maybe screwed themselves over by voting you out. And I just didn't see any of the others wanting to really work with him. Jeremy was super down with it, and it was interesting to see that Jeremy was sort of overruled by the rest of the people who were with him. I kind of want to go through later on and figure out who the hell is with who, because I can't ever really seem to figure it out. I kind of tried to draw a little diagram, and I don't know how to put that up on the screen, but I don't know. Any other hot takes on Wendell here and what happened?
I wonder if Wendell would have been on anyone's radar had the merge, after the merge and Jeremy started talking to him and realizing Nick was his, number one. And then Jeremy started to sort of put that into action where like Nick had to go, and then people were like, no, not Nick, why don't we get rid of Wendell, because they were known as a pair now. So Wendell, I think, is clearly more of a threat than Nick was at this point.
They gave us so little to go on, though. It's really hard to know what how that transpired.
Yeah, I found that in this episode too. Not a ton to go on. Not a ton.
Well, there was so much that happened. They needed to squish so much into this episode. They really need to do like an hour and a half or 2 hour episodes.
I think that's the case whenever they have these side stories of people who are voted off the island. It just seems to take up too much time of the camp talk.
Yeah, this should have been a 2-hour episode, especially with the merge and the person re-entering the game, and it really needed to be longer.
Let's get Probst on here. Honestly, we need to have a. How does this guy not understand the dynamics of this show after frickin' 20 years and 40 seasons?
He needs the
fans are
truth from
rabid.
real Survivor fans here.
We've talked about how The Bachelor gets a 2. I mean, come on, man. The Bachelor?
Oh God,
Yeah.
it's painful.
2-hour episodes?
2 hours
At least.
It's ridiculous.
Jeff Probst has always been a bit of a bimbo, though. He really has.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite understand the show.
Let's get. I want to see what Randy has to say about Wendell.
I was kind of disappointed with all three because I was like, no, I love Nick, I love Adam, and I love Wendell. And so to have all three of that, oh yes, I love Adam.
You love all the people
That's
that I really don't
crazy.
care for.
I love him. I absolutely go for someone like yeah. Wait till you see the people I picked. But okay,
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get there.
what I liked was Michelle voted for with him. Like she didn't vote against him.
How do you know?
Yeah, okay,
She did vote with him.
Yeah.
She did? Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was
Wait a second. Sorry.
Okay.
She voted with who?
Sorry, she voted with Wendell and Nick. I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
It was
I
those
think
three
so.
on that tribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read that also. And she seemed like she was a bit confused, but I'm sure that Jeremy's enough on the ins because everyone's thinking like, oh, it was probably Jeremy and Nick. No way. Jeremy was enough in with everybody that he was informed of that decision.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it Michelle and Nick and Wendell, or was it Michelle, Adam, and Wendell?
Michelle, Nick, and Wendell.
Yeah, it was Michelle, Nick, and Wendell for sure. Adam's still considered. I think they're still scoping Adam into these conversations. I can't get a sense for where he actually is. He's getting this edit where we get his sort of over the top dramatic sound bites that he wants to make to get on the air all the time. And it doesn't seem like he gets along with people in the tribe. His name comes up a lot, but he's still here. His name's come up almost every episode.
Yeah, they're giving him limited. He's on a need-to-know basis only, I think, right now. They're still using him as a number, but they're just not divulging all the information to
I
him.
think one of you guys mentioned it last week that he maybe is getting an edit where he'll make final 3 just because no one's going to vote for him, so he'll be an easy person to sit next to.
Man, that's a lot of Adam.
I really hope not.
He's getting a lot of screen time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
But he's just so paranoid.
Well, Randy's happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. He makes me laugh. He makes me laugh. His anxiety, everything. Like I'm like, oh, it's a mirror. It's a mirror.
He did express how scared he was a number of
Oh
times.
my gosh. A poll?
It was on the pole. It is pretty high up.
Yeah.
The pole is way up there.
And
I mean,
Michelle
you
took
saw
a hard
Michelle fall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I could see compound fracture.
I'm wondering if that comes back into play.
They did spend a lot of time on it. That's interesting.
What will come back in?
The fact that Michelle, was down on the ground for quite a bit there.
Right.
Oh,
And they did focus on it. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, the fact that Probst asked if she wanted medical.
That's a pretty hard hit then if Probe's asking that. She seemed okay. We haven't seen her walk or anything like that. And there was no follow-up on it whatsoever. She had a very quiet episode.
She did. But that's a good call by Dave. I think that's a good pickup on that edit. It kind of thinks there might be something more there.
Yeah, Survivor does love to foreshadow.
Yeah.
they didn't really. Did they have the scene of everybody walking to Tribal? Because she was at Tribal. She was sitting there. She seemed fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Every time they have something like that with a small medical injury, I remember it happened to Tyson in the season that he won. He threw out his shoulder or injured it somehow, and they spent a bunch of time on it, and he used it sort of as to take the target off of him by playing up his shoulder injury quite excessively. And so that kind of brings me to, let's talk about that. Do we want to go through the episode from the beginning, or I kind of want to segue into maybe that immunity challenge there where, they're all up on the pole, and I love this challenge. I love it. This looks like a classic Survivor, just endurance challenge, which has lasted hours in the past. And for this one seems like, and it's tough to tell but I don't think it lasted very long due to the conditions out
They'd
there.
made it a 2-hour episode, it would have gone longer.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
They eked a lot of drama out of the 2 challenges this time.
They really tried.
Yeah, I love the editing on those things. They really make it seem like, oh boy, like the focus in on Jeremy's toes as he's like, we saw Jeremy's toe like 6 times. That was mostly the star of the episode, was Jeremy's big toe wedged into that little crack on the pole there. I loved that challenge. Tyson, I remember as soon as that challenge came up, what I say, Caitlin, I was like, oh, Tyson won this challenge in his first season. And when he was like 26 or 29 and like super wiry, and I'm like, oh, he's going to win it again. And he's 40 now. He's got a bunch of kids. For Tyson, he's got a bit of a dad bod. And I was wondering, did Tyson maybe throw this thing?
I would like to hear if he actually threw it. I mean, I don't think it's that likely, but to come right back in the game and to try to win the challenge, it would put a huge target on him. And I think he wants to be a little more under the radar. So it would be interesting to see what he has to say when he's off the show.
You guys?
I don't know. I didn't get a feeling that he threw it at all.
No.
I mean, he was on the edge of extinction, and probably all he had was his peanut butter. Who knows when he finished that? He's a thin guy. Guys don't typically do really well at those challenges, I don't think, because they got the big feet and the muscle and the heavier weight behind them and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised that some of those guys went down quickly.
I'm surprised Jeremy won just because he looks like heavier than the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's a strong. It seemed like he held on through sheer just like
right
gripping the pole as opposed to
strangling it.
Because Jeremy's never been a great challenge performer from my recollection. I thought he was always someone who you thought would do well in challenges and was always
That was how Denise did it too, though. She just grabbed
the pole.
Our last one, I don't remember who it was on the sit-out bench or like after you're knocked out. Well, this was for the comeback challenge. Rob was ahead all the way till the end, and someone said, "Is Rob good at this?" And whoever it was said, "Rob
Ben
Driebergen.
Yeah,
good at everything.
Did everything.
Ben is the hugest Boston Rob fanboy, second maybe only to our Brandon Jung, who never deems it important enough to show up for these things. But
he's in the other room. Seriously, I don't know why he doesn't want to be on this call.
Hey, I had a Zoom with him the other day. It was fine. It was nice to see him. I'm glad he came to the curling club Zoom chat, but not the Survivor.
But another thing about that challenge that kind of irked me at the end was how slowly and closely they made it look like Rob and Tyson were.
Yeah, do you think it was actually that close?
It was at the end, all they had to do was lift it up into the thing, and it was so slow and back and forth a couple of times. And
I think there was some editing magic going on there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think Rob would have been a lot more pissed off if it had been that close. He didn't look too choked.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I have to say to that is, well, if it weren't actually that close, why is that blue ball getting anywhere near Tyson doesn't win by a landslide, and then they say, "Oh, Rob, can you just keep inching the ball up there so we can
totally."
Actually, I think they might do that. Actually, to be honest with you, for editing purposes.
Maybe it's shots from Devin.
Who knows if they were even Tyson or Rob? They could have been just filmed when they
right.
Had the colors.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
no, that's very true. And I really because not all these competitions can be that close, right? There's a lot of editing that goes into these to make it.
For sure.
But it has kind of the opposite effect that I think that it kind of makes you numb to the closest of these challenges. If a challenge is a blowout, just edit it as a blowout. And then when they actually are really close, it makes it mean a lot more. Whereas when everything is, it's so close, it's a nail biter, it has a numbing effect on the overall product.
I believe everything I see. So I didn't think it was edited. I'm just like, yep. And what?
Hey, Ryan, you're cutting out. There's no audio from you. We can't hear you.
No,
What also killed me was Sophie. when all that the chattering, the coldness, I was like feeling for her.
That looked really miserable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that would be that'd be me 100%.
Yeah, I'd quit then. Like, I'm going.
No,
Still nothing, Ryan. Is there an on-off button on your headset?
Do you have the Microsoft ones where the mute button sits perfectly at your lap height? So every time you do anything, it like smacks it automatically into mute, and you don't.
I'm guessing it's something that simple. Nope. Still nothing, Ryan.
we continue without him.
All right, so Junior, take over, buddy.
Do you know anything else he had on his agenda?
I would imagine he would just go through the sequence.
Anyone else?
Sorry, I think I heard you there, Ryan. Go ahead.
Hey, you guys, you back?
Yeah, I hear you.
How's the audio quality?
Not great. You're really loud, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like the presence of God.
I have an extra headset if you want it.
It's okay, Ryan. We can hear you clearly.
I have one too. You guys keep moving along. Talk about the challenge to get back in, the advantages, and how people spent their fire tokens.
Okay.
So I had to mark all that down. So yeah, that was.
That would have been a big job.
So from my understanding, Natalie and Rob both had 4 fire tokens. They each bought an advantage in the challenge and an idol, whereas Tyson had 1 token and I believe someone else had 1 token. So they all got to skip.
Yeah, Danielle and Ethan and
Ethan had, but basically Natalie, Danny, Rob, Ethan, and Tyson all had an advantage. So they all would have used at least 1 fire token to buy an advantage. There was mention, I think, either Natalie and possibly Rob mentioned also, because they both had 4. Natalie had her 4 and Rob apparently had his 3 that he
plus Amber's.
And then Amber gave him 1 also, which I have to actually, I marked something wrong because I forgot Amber gave him 1, so I have to mark that for her giving Rob 1 and Rob receiving it from her. But yeah, then Rob also said he was going to use 1 for an advantage and then maybe buy a token, but we have no confirmation that they actually bought idols.
Rob, I think Rob actually said that he bought it. So
I think he says that he bought an idol. So
yeah,
but Natalie says the same thing. She's going to use 1 for that and 1 for an idol. But all we know, because we haven't seen any idols, all I know is that they did use at least 1 for the advantage in the challenge. So
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
So I say when we do spreadsheet talk at the end of the episode here, we'll decide how we want to score that thing.
It's already decided, I'm telling you.
We're not. So we're not. Did you give them the points for buying an idol?
Yeah.
Oh, well, fine.
Not the idol. Not yet, because it hasn't been confirmed that they actually bought an idol. They talked about, I'm going to use 1 for this and I'm going to use 1 for an idol.
Mm-hmm.
We also don't know if they bought the idol and they didn't make it back this challenge. We don't know if that idol can be then now used to get back in the game for the next challenge, or it just disappears. There's a lot we don't know what's going on Edge of Extinction.
Yeah, so I'm not giving any idol purchases for anyone on Edge unless it's confirmed in the show. Not just because they were like saying, I'm going to use 1 for this, and I'm going to use 1 for that. But did they actually? Yeah.
Okay, so everyone who you guys can hear me now, right?
We can hear you perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Do we even know if you could use multiple tokens for multiple? I'm assuming they limited the advantages to 1 advantage in the challenge, right?
I'm assuming that too, because
that's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, Dave, didn't you go through that and we had a back and forth on Facebook? I saw that as 3 as well, right?
No, they had the list. It said you can buy 1 for the first one. It didn't give you the option to buy for each part, but if you bought the first one, then you could spend 2 tokens and buy in the first and second part, and you could
Oh.
buy with 3 tokens for the first, second, and third part. But you
Yeah, that
couldn't
was
just
my
buy for the
understanding.
third.
Right.
That would have been a better expenditure of your tokens then.
It would have.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I think that's an incredibly stupid strategy. I mean,
Yeah.
worry about
Mhm.
getting back into the damn game and
Absolutely.
then find an idol or work on it at that point. But it's meaningless to have an idol if you're not back in the game, which is exactly what Tyson said when he blew, if you want to, his fire token on that
Mhm.
peanut butter, which clearly
good
gave him
strategy.
the extra calories. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The extra
won his
trans
last
fats he
season.
needed.
He won the last season based on eating and eating and eating and eating.
Totally. Coconut bandits. Hashtag coconut, bandits.
Sitting out a challenge to eat.
Exactly. Totally.
Maybe for someone like Boston Rob, though, I think if Boston Rob comes back in, I think he's an easy target early on. His presence is really oppressive, whereas Tyson is like, Tyson's kind of like Loki. He can betray you and you can still work with him again, whereas Rob just kind of casts a shadow on the people around him. So maybe it was the strategy that was right for Rob. But Natalie Anderson had no business. Should have bought 2 advantages.
Yeah.
She should have bought 3. She had
Yeah.
friggin' 4 tokens, right?
Yeah.
I don't know though. She is a friend of Jeremy, so given that fact,
Yeah, I think she might have been booted too.
she might have been booted. I don't think Tyson's seen as having anybody now.
Yeah.
Like well, we'll talk about that maybe in a bit when we get into like where the alliances fall. But I like that challenge. I do like that challenge overall. I think it's a fun one.
Oh, the multi-stage to get back into the
Except for, do you guys think? Because who is in it at the end? Rob, Tyson, and Yule, right? These strong guys.
Right.
Natalie's up there, but she's
You'll
not.
have to dig up his string also.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, without that, who knows? But I don't know. You see Ethan kind of crawling in there at the end, and Danny and Amber, they have like no chance. Does this favor like strong men? This particular
Almost
challenge?
every challenge does. There's not
Physical ones, yeah.
Any balance challenge generally favors women. Any body to strength weight to strength ratio generally favors women too. I bet you Denise could have been on that poll like today.
I was wondering about that. But there was
At
a
the
lot
beginning.
of. She was the only woman left, and there was like 3, maybe 4 men left at that point. So the
I still
women
think Denise could have outlasted anybody.
Really?
Just
Look at the rest of the women in the game. They're not. Denise is in the gym like 8 days a week.
No, Kim, is she the tall one? She looks really strong too.
She's probably in good shape. She's got like 4 kids though, right? And that's not to say you can't be in good shape and have 4 kids, but it takes away from
You're just tired as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different form of physical exercise, I would imagine, looking after it.
I have 2 kids, and I'm in pretty good shape too. So.
How much fathering time do you do a week at this point in your life, Randy?
They're 26 and 20. What am I supposed
Correct.
to do?
Fair enough. All right, so we like the challenge. We see Tyson get back in. You guys have feelings on Tyson getting back in the game?
Happy. He's one of my picks, so.
There you go. All right. I love it.
I called it too. So I'm happy. Anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? He's not one of the picks, but he's good TV, so I'll take it.
I agree, and I think he's probably going to last a few weeks too. Like you said, he's not coming in as a massive threat and everything. He's kind of buddy with people. Like I think he could go a few more weeks for sure.
Absolutely, and the fact that he was voted out kind of neutralizes his threat level a little bit too, so he could sneak in another few episodes.
Do we think though? Okay, here's what I think. This is kind of curious. If Tyson advances much further in the game, do the rest of the players say, "Hold on a second"? Every single person on that jury right now, if Tyson gets a sniff, is going to vote for Tyson. They're all these OG players, right?
So here's the one thing I'll just weigh in on. So apparently all these OG players were really against Chris Underwood winning his season after getting voted out and then winning the thing. So I don't know if they'll reward someone for getting voted out. So I think it effectively does neutralize Tyson and make it so he can't win the game.
You know, one interesting thing is that so they confirmed in this episode that everybody that's still there is on the jury. Minus Sandra, because she left. There's 8 people on Edge of Extinction. All of them, with the exception of Natalie, are. Well, maybe is Wendell considered old school? Natalie's not.
No,
Wendell's brand new.
No.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what my point was going to be with the number of people that are still in the game, and the number of people of old schoolers who are on edge, especially if Tyson gets booted out again and he's on the jury will be quite even between old schoolers and new schoolers.
It's going to be even regardless, because assuming that everyone stays in the game, there's only 3 people at the end, right?
Yeah, there's going to be 8.
So
there's going to be 16 people on the jury.
It's always.
I just don't think it's how people see the game. I really don't think they break themselves down along those lines. So
Jeff keeps pointing it out.
Jeff's.
Hey, Yule, did you know you're the last member of the old school? Adam's like, ooh, all the old school clean sweep. Ooh. All right.
And if it wasn't a thing, why did all of the old schoolers end up being booted? Like, it can't just be a coincidence that it happened to be all old schoolers.
No, yes, it is. It's not a coincidence, and it is a coincidence at the same time. So generally, you're closer to people that you've played who've played in seasons that are closer to your season, because you'll go to the press junkets and whatnot. So there are these bonds
you're kicking it like Wendell and Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely,
you're
right?
Kicking it. If you're winning within 5 seasons of one another, everyone's getting together.
Everyone's getting together, and that's how it kind of breaks down. But it's not this. Oh, you guys played like it's not an old school, new school thing. It just happens to be how these bonds are formed, and it's not about old school, new school. It's about how many relationships you have with what different people, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's tough to see on the surface of it, right? Because it does look like all these players that maybe we wanted to see play again for the last probably time, your Ethans or Sandras or Robs or whoever, all getting booted sort of immediately. Shocking to me that Tony's still in the game. Tony. I mean, he flamed out so fast in his last season. And Kim Spradlin, widely regarded to have had the most decisive victory of all time, still alive and on nobody's radar so far.
What a wallflower.
I think Tony was my pick as a first boot.
That's not a bad pick.
No, and I think, I don't know, maybe Junior could confirm this. I think I have the spreadsheet in front of me, but I think more people picked Wendell than anybody else. I think he was probably the number. I mean, I'm looking down the line.
Team?
Yeah, Parv has a ton of picks. What?
Yeah, Wendell's pretty popular.
Yule was really popular.
He's one of the most popular guys. Yeah. Picks.
Yeah. If I'm going to lose a guy, and this is my first week having lost somebody, I'm fine seeing Wendell go. I got no problem with that. Whatever. I don't think we have any people with 5 people left, but we'll get it back into the spreadsheet in a bit. So Tyson, happy to see him back. I love the entertainment value he provides in the show. He's one of my top 3 players of all time, I'd have to say. I just love his sense of humor. Look at, he's getting all choked up about his family. It's touching.
Yeah, that's the side of Tyson I don't really need to see.
You're over Tyson.
Yeah.
You want full a-hole.
Yeah, that's what I liked about him. He was just kind of an acerbic guy that nothing really fazed him. He didn't really care. This kind of like weepy, like, oh, my 2 kids at home, Tyson. This is everyone else's narrative, and it's boring.
He did that on the season he won about Rachel when Rachel got it.
Yeah, he did a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so we see the new menu for items that you can buy with the fire tokens. I paused this and went through it a number of times. Anybody else have a look at what was on there?
No, but could you read it off for us?
Okay, I haven't written it down word for word. The most interesting thing, I think, was you could steal a spot on the reward challenge. And this was supposed to be a strategic advantage. So you can go on a reward challenge for 3 tokens. I don't know. First of all,
no one's going to use that.
No one's ever going to use that because you're going to piss whoever off that you steal the spot from. Right? And I don't think it's really strategically to your advantage to do anything like that. You can send a note to a player on edge for 2 tokens. What's your note going to say?
Yeah.
Check mark if you like. Do you like me? Check yes for, check 1 for yes. I can't understand how that would particularly be useful. Maybe there's some way that you could employ that in a valuable way.
Right.
Unless you can try and convince somebody to sell you an advantage, or like if you win an idol, I'll trade you fire tokens or whatever, something.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah,
Sure.
for it to be on the menu, there must be something else that might come up to warrant maybe communicating with someone on edge.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something they can predict But I see what you're saying. They might work something into the game whereby that having that level of communication would be valuable.
I think I'm starting to get out on fire tokens. It's starting to look a little more like let's make a deal, and it's getting a little goofy.
Have they really played that major of a role in the game thus far? The fire tokens.
No, they haven't. But at the same time, the menu on what you can buy and like, would you want the idol or what's behind door number 2, right? Like, fuck off.
Oh. Yeah, I think I made a good sort of proposed menu at the beginning of the season before it even started, where you could, trade it for like Quaaludes or pornography, like hatchets, all sorts of exciting things that just haven't really materialized. Although I did put alcohol in there, and it turns out the producers were stupid enough to go, oh, you just put some beer on there, as if anyone's gonna buy that. So all right.
I don't think they've pumped enough fire tokens into the game because no one's really spending them unless they're on the edge of extinction. And
you know what they need?
Challenge.
They need a 2 trillion fire token stimulus.
Yeah, it's a Safer's economy right now.
Does anyone else get turned on by hearing the word stimulus and package so often? All right, so what else could you buy? You could buy beans for 4 tokens.
You could buy a tarp, but no one did.
Oh.
Tyson was pushing the tarp. Tyson's the kind of guy who would probably buy a tarp if they pulled it together. It looked like, okay, so I love seeing when it pours rain like that.
Huh.
Right.
Surprised they didn't get together to buy a tarp. You assume the tarp would be big enough for a few of them.
Yeah.
But then you're not going to share, and who's if you didn't spare a token to buy it, do you get to go under it? And it could cause a lot of drama.
I just don't see people perceive these things as having so much innate value that they're not going to squander them, so to speak. I don't see anyone spending money on a tarp, even though it's probably the most valuable thing you can buy on that list.
It is, but if you're a person who feels you can the weather's not going to phase you too much, you're not going to buy the tarp and help other people kind of boost their morale up. You kind of want other people to be beaten down by the weather.
Do you think Sophie would have traded her immunity idol for a tarp?
I think she looked miserable.
Oh my gosh. She looked like she was like 2 minutes away from dying from exposure. Like looked like she had been in, ice cold Arctic water for, 20 minutes. She looked horrible. Like her eyes were blood red and she's like
lips were blue.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're shaking that hard because you're so cold. It's just so miserable. Oh gosh.
She should have fattened up before the show.
Yeah, she should have. Look, a lot of people fattened up right before the show, and it's smart. It's
Boston
smart
Rob sure did.
He looked a lot leaner, honestly, in this episode. I thought he's just really shedding those pounds. He's probably doing, a lot of CrossFit on the island, is my guess, on the edge of extinction there, just really doing probably hour-long sessions of CrossFit. So
with Natalie.
Natalie's leading the way. She's a CrossFit instructor, right?
I know.
Oh boy, so they can get beans and rice as well. I don't see anybody buying beans. Beans I wouldn't mind, but like peanut butter was a way better reward than any of that garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate the fact that he bought that stuff. Is anyone else, this is brought up by Caitlin and noticed by myself as well, the analogies that they're using, like they talk about lions and manes, and there were so many analogies, like the waves at the tribal council. Jeff freaking just can't, fall over himself fast enough to applaud people for coming up with these stupid analogies. And I think somebody noticed like 3 or 4 seasons ago that if you make up a dumbass analogy, Jeff's just gonna just come right over and smoosh your ass. Be like, oh my God, you're right. It's so true. Can you believe it? Like the wave comes in and the tides, they circle around, but you have the currents going the other direction. What? So I don't know. I find them a little bit heavy-handed, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the players are like, if I come up with an analogy, I'm getting on the show, and I bet they go to analogy workshops before they get back in there.
If you want screen time, that's what you got to do. This show is not subtle.
What's that, Adam? It's the Adam school for sure. All right. Do we like that Denise was so upfront about how she totally KO'd Sandra? What do you guys think about Denise's sort of bragging about taking out the queen?
She had to because Tyson was there. That's the only reason she did. Tyson knew the whole story because Sandra came back. That's the only reason she had to be upfront about it.
Man, she looked like she was proud to tell that story without Tyson being there.
I don't think so. I think that made it. That forced her hand. Because Sandra told Tyson the whole story, right? And she knew that going to edge.
Did she stay around long enough to even get 2 words out?
Yep. Last episode, not the previous episode.
Previously on Survivor.
Right. When Sandra went back, she explained, no, Denise got me. I got my, she said it to everyone who was there. That happened. So now he knows the full story. So she can't lie about what happened. She has to open it, right? Because you're not going to sit there and lie to 10 people or 11 people.
It's not because of Tyson, because the people that were on her tribe know exactly what happened also. So it's not just Tyson that knew.
Because they're aligned with her. They're not going to blow her up.
No, they won't know that she.
They don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
No, they'll know they gave the idol, but they don't know that Sandra gave her the idol.
Yeah, exactly.
Sandra told her never to tell anyone I gave you this idol, right? Yeah. So, and Denise, with the exception of Jeremy, wasn't closely allied with anyone, and Jeremy actually voted for her. So that part of the story could have remained quiet, but because Tyson knew the story, at that point her hand was forced.
But do you think like she knew that Tyson knew? Like that?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know, because like, what if Sandra said, okay, this, like you said, she said, okay, this is between us. Doesn't mean that she necessarily told everyone on Edge of Extinction.
Denise, does Denise look like a stupid woman to you? Like, of course.
Oh, amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So she's
one of the smartest people out there.
Absolutely. And she's going to assume that whatever Sandra knows, now everyone on the Edge of Extinction knows. So she had no choice in the matter. Sorry.
Hot take, guys. Hot take.
That's not really a hot take. That's just common sense applied.
I don't think so, but
lukewarm take.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I thought.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on this?
The fact that, like I said, she had two idols. Whether anybody knew that Sandra gave her the second idol and she used it, the fact is that she booted Sandra by protecting her and Jeremy with 2 idols, and people knew that who were in the game. So I don't think, like I said, it was not a big issue if Tyson knew that she actually bought that idol from Sandra and used it against her. Like, big deal. She did what she did, and people in the game knew that.
No, that makes it a gangster move, okay? That's the difference between making like a decent play and a move where someone gives you your idol and then you vote them out. That makes it like Denise has made it put a stamp on the game. It's a big-time move.
I think she needs to do that. Like, as they were saying yesterday, she has to, show her resume. I did.
Agreed.
I think that's so important that she did that.
This is too early to start making a resume.
Yeah.
Well, guess who noticed that? Sophie.
Sophie.
Sophie had a very strong game. I think she made some very astute observations, and she, I think, was responsible. She's the first person throwing Wendell's name out there, right? I think people come up to her and they're like, "What do you think, Nick or Wendell?" She's like, "Well, I'd really prefer to see Wendell go," and she makes a lot of argument in that direction. So I don't know.
Is that going to come back around on her though? Is she now going to be Sophie was calling the shots?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, I was just saying, like, it feels like she's still kind of playing under the radar. Like, she's still getting other people's perspectives on moves and stuff. So she might be throwing the name out there, but it doesn't feel like she's like the forceful drive on that decision yet. So I feel like, I don't know. I think she's still going to go ways.
Yeah.
She's in my final 3. Like, I honestly feel like she's going to go all the way. But
what's interesting about that is that Jeremy and Sophie were both trying to play a similar kind of strategy. They didn't want to look like they're calling the shots, except Jeremy's plan failed miserably and Sophie actually pushed her agenda through. So good on Sophie.
Yeah. I'm not in your pool, but my final 3, Sophie, Michelle, and Adam. Sophie, Adam. Those are my final 3. I'm not in your pool, and I love it.
every opportunity to be in the pool, Randy, as I'm going to remind you week after week.
I'm a teacher, okay? I was busy.
What am I doing? That's my exact job.
You might have to wait a while for.
Just an aside here, guys. As a high school teacher, we have to do so much now. Like we have to create all this online stuff starting next week. And I don't know.
I've been doing that for 3 weeks. You have a spring break.
Yeah, but we don't know what we're doing.
Secondary faculty didn't have spring break to figure that out. They was just like, okay, go.
Spring break
Well, we're not going to turn this into a bitch session about.
No.
Hey, Dave. Do you even have a job now?
Not right now.
Dave works out at the college as well. He works in the food services out there, and all that shit is shut down, right?
Ah.
No,
What do you do all
welcome to
day,
the club, yeah. I don't have a job either.
Well, Dave, at least. Go ahead.
I've left the house, I think, 3 times so far.
Wow.
In 11 days, 12 days.
Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good job.
It's work.
Nice work, Dave. Make sure that you're feeding yourself, all right?
Oh, don't worry. There was a lot of food that I had to take home when we closed.
Wait, I know where you work. I don't know if you want to be taking that stuff home.
No, I got to pick the good stuff.
Okay, good. All right.
All right, we're Q2, so where are we going next here?
We're getting close to the end here. I'm just going to see if I got any other. Okay, real quick before I'm going to get Junior in to go a little bit in the spreadsheet, however much he wants to get into, and then he can talk. He's talked a little bit about it already, and then we'll get we'll get Paul's Player of the Week. Paul's going to be doing a Player of the Week segment. We can find out what he thinks, who he thinks played the best game, and then the Rand Man, as promised last week, is going to be telling us his top 5 favorite survivors of the first 20 seasons only, because he couldn't do a top 5 for the entire.
I feel like we're
too many good players.
Just for that.
Based on what I understand of Randy's favorite players from this season, this is going to be a doozy. So, alliance-wise, I see Sophie and Sarah together, right? Like they're for sure super tight. They're each other's 1 and 2. Then I'm looking at like.
Are they each other's 1 and 2 though?
You don't think so?
No, I think they're too smart to have each other as their 1 and 2.
Ooh. I don't see who else either one of them is playing.
Because would Sophie rather go to the end with Sarah or with someone like Adam, who she has close ties with, right?
Yeah, I feel like one of those two is going to get the best of the other real close to the end.
Yeah, but that's going to be sort of an end game move, I think.
7, maybe at 7, maybe at 9.
9's too soon. 7, I see.
Think at all now that
I even think further than that.
If Sarah and Tony will have anything?
Oh, I don't have the line between Tony and Sarah there, so
yeah,
I think they're in tight.
Because they said at the beginning, like the Cops Alliance or whatever, you know, they were gonna protect each other, but she's been so close with Sophie. I wonder if Sarah doubles back to Tony for a while at some point to then get Sophie out eventually later.
That's a good call. I think Sarah has a ton of ties to people, and more so than Sophie actually, and so she might be able to be in a better spot to maneuver.
Here's who I see as potential.
More of a threat because of it.
Yeah. As potential boots next week, people who have nobody now. I don't think Nick or Michelle have anybody but one another that I can think of.
But they've been neutralized, and do you see a vote going down 9-2 again? At this point at 11, you've got to start marshaling your forces, right? And you start to kind of boil down your final 6 or final 5, right? So I don't think it coming down to a 9-2 vote. So I think they're both safe this week.
Wow. Okay, so where are we going?
Like Kim, Nick, and Adam are all sort of on their own to me. And
I feel like Kim has some ties.
They're gonna be pulled in somewhere, and one of them or 2 of them are gonna be left out in the cold.
I think that Denise was foreshadowed. I think Denise's eviction is foreshadowed.
I think so too. I think Denise has a big problem next week. That's what I was just about to jump in on there, because I'm looking at my little diagram here, and I don't see her being part of the bigger group. Remember, she was sort of tied in with Adam early on. She won this challenge. She's made a big move. I think that she's going to be on people's radar next week, and I think that's probably the last we see of Denise, which
I think
sucks
so,
because
too.
I like
Yeah.
watching her play, but I think she's going to be
Yeah.
toast. All right, so we're, as Junior points out, we're going to try and keep these to an hour to the extent that we can keep them to an hour, a little tight. So I'm going to turn it over to Greg, and I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see the spreadsheet yet. Any comments on the scoring? We talked a little bit about, there was a lot of action scoring-wise.
I must have kicked ass last night. I must have got so many points.
You're way ahead.
Yeah, you did really well.
You got a lot of points because Wendell came back for you.
No, I
sorry,
would.
Tyson came
yeah.
back for you, and you have Jeremy, who won immunity, and Denise, who won.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, recap of the spreadsheet and points for this week. Those are the two individual immunity winners. They each got a fire token as well for that win, so they get five points each for getting a fire token. Then the big points. Tyson won the challenge to come back, so he gets points for winning an Edge of Extinction challenge.
How many points is that one? Do you remember? 15
10.
or something? That's 10 only?
10.
Wow, that's light.
Sorry, was the spreadsheet sent round? I don't actually seem to have it in my email.
It was.
It's on the Facebook page.
Yeah, it's on the
Oh,
Facebook page.
got it. Okay.
And then, then a recap of the use of fire tokens by each of the people on Edge of Extinction who used it to buy an advantage. And then when they actually used the advantage in the challenge, they get points for using an advantage at a challenge. So they get 5 points for buying the advantage and then 5 points for using the advantage.
Now, like, Amber doesn't get points for giving her token to Rob, does she?
She will, yes.
She didn't spend a token. Like, you have to spend it to get something, right? If you give
We said uses or receives a fire token.
So wouldn't that be every person voted off? Wouldn't they?
Everybody who's voted off and had to give their those people, no, because they had to give it away because they got voted out, so they don't get points.
Amber hasn't really used her token. She just gave it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't consider that using a token necessarily.
No.
We can discuss.
Well, as long as you don't double the points, Rob and Amber both can't get points for that, right?
Huh?
I said as long as only one person gets the points for that. Rob and Amber both can't get points for using the same fire token, though.
Rob should get the point for receiving it.
Right. Like you just can't score it both ways.
Because then you just pass tokens back and forth so that we could inflate the pool. At home are like, people on the island are like, wait a second.
They don't know what we're doing.
Still does mean to get in the pool.
No, they're up on it. They know how these pools work.
If the fire token is not going to purchase something, then if it's just being given away, the person giving it away does not get 5 points.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay.
Because, right, the recipient, you get a fire token. Okay, you con somebody into giving you a fire token, which is Rob's long game with Amber.
Wife.
Right.
It's finally paying off.
The marriage and 4 kids was just to get this one fire token.
So
that is a long con.
Hang on. Last week, Michelle clearly said on the episode that she gave a fire token to Wendell.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Wendell,
I gave Wendell 5 points for getting her token and 5 points to her for giving it to Wendell.
Yeah, I wouldn't get.
Wow.
I have Michelle, but I would take those 5 points away from
So
Michelle.
basically, she did that to gain some type of favor with Wendell. So it's not like she just was like, here's my fire token. So where's the line that we draw that it absolutely has no meaning in the game to someone who gave it away?
Because other people gave it away, they were forced to give it away at when they get exited the game, and they give 2 fire token. Like, they've dropped in people's slots. They don't get points for that, as I recall. So they shouldn't get a point for giving it away in any capacity.
No. But what I'm saying is fire tokens are like currency, right? So you give them for a favor. Okay, so whether.
Yeah, but that favor never materializes, though, right? Like that's dependent on whether or
What
not
I'm
the
saying
favor
is,
actually.
how do we score that? You can't
don't.
really
Just off the
score
menu.
that, like
Off the menu
whether
and
it
that's it.
actually meant something or it didn't mean something.
You don't score the giving away the fire token.
No, it's just off the menu and then it's clear cut. If they didn't purchase something, they didn't purchase something.
Greg,
Yeah.
I'm totally
They're
on your
using
side
that-
with this one.
If they're using that token to acquire something, then sure.
It's
But
not
if-
quantifiable.
If someone's just
that's
giving
what
it away, what are
it's
they getting for it?
It's hard to say whether it's quantifiable or not. Like Michelle last week gave her fire token to Wendell for a reason to like curry favor with him to like get in.
Well,
So
it ain't gonna
there's
help.
meaning
It ain't
for
gonna
it.
help
It
her
wasn't
anymore
like
with
David-
Wendell.
Yeah, exactly. So what's that worth?
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
I agree with that line of thinking. I agree with that line of thinking because if you are using it as it is a currency to curry favor with someone, hell yeah. So and
No,
even
but
though
that's dependent
I
on
totally
whether or
agree.
not that
Totally
comes
agree.
to fruition, though, right? If it doesn't come to fruition, it's basically lost to the ether, so you can't
that's
quantify
just
it.
like
So
that's
giving.
getting
Okay,
angry.
okay. We can't do this all night. Here's what I'm going to say. I'll put a poll up on Facebook. There are going to be two options, and the poll is binding. You can only vote one time. Junior, will you abide by the poll results?
Maybe.
Oh, for
Maybe.
listen, when we're doing Junior Survivor Pool, no problem.
I'm gonna
All right,
abide by
all right.
it, but I'm also
I've been
gonna
scoring
bitch about
the
it.
same way all season, and now we want to change.
Okay, let's just we'll take this offline, Junior. We'll take this offline.
And Amber getting 5 points, is that going to change the results? I don't think so. So
Who's taking Amber? Come on.
One person took Amber. Oh, that's my buddy Dale, who knows nothing about Survivor at all. Like nothing. He just knows that he likes Parvati. She's hot. Did he double down on her? He did. He did double down.
I think he's guaranteed last place now.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Dale is in 24th place, tied with
He's
Caitlin.
beating
So
me!
he's tied with you.
Because
Okay, let's
I have
take.
nobody getting fire tokens on the edge.
No, you're sucking it pretty hard. Let's go over to Paul for Paul's Player of the Week. I'm curious to see as to who he's chosen.
Okay, well, I mean, in a lot of respects, this is pretty easy. It's basically the edit boiled it down to two people for me, right? And let's start with your runner-up. Now, a lot of you will be like, oh, you're not giving it to Sophie. Yeah, Sophie played really well. She managed to change where the vote was going. She was under the radar. But she also didn't do it. Like, I don't know how that changing, getting Wendell voted out over Nick is going to behoove her going forward. I don't know if that's going to paint a larger target. She didn't effectively remove the target from herself or a close ally. She just got it off Nick, and who gives a fuck about Nick? So
why is Nick still there?
Why is this guy even here? So it's hard to really give her the player of the game, not knowing what's going to happen going forward. I do think she played it really well. But so I can't give it to her. So without Sophie, that leaves one person, and I'm gonna have to give it to Tyson.
Wow.
And the reason is as follows, right? I don't really care much for the competitions, but when you beat all the Survivor giants in a one competition to get back into the game, and then once you get back in, no one has you on their radar. That's a testament to your social game up to that point, right? He hasn't really burned any bridges. He was able to integrate back in almost flawlessly. And in the challenge, he beats Boston Rob. He beats Poverty. He beats Natalie Anderson, right? This is no small feat. So at this point, Sophie and Tyson are probably tied. But the fact that Tyson just proved me right when I said that Tyson would get back into the game tips the edge in his favor. So it's going to be Tyson. Yeah.
All right, guys. Any thoughts? Any feedback on this? Anyone want to argue about this?
That's an easy pick for player of the episode. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be controversial. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have gone with Sophie because I do think she directed the gameplay. I don't think Tyson really directed any of the gameplay whatsoever. I do agree that he took the target, or the target isn't on him. And that looks good right now.
If you look at that entire episode as a whole episode, all she had was something at the very end. Like she was shaking through the like before the challenge. She didn't win the challenge. You know, what did she really do at that episode except for, you know, make a couple of deals to maybe get Wendell to be the one voted out?
And it's hard with
something like that every time. Whereas Tyson had the challenge to get in, had to beat all of those previous winners, good people, and got in, and was, like you said, was not it at all on anyone's radar to be voted out.
Yeah, and I don't think the edit gave us a whole lot to go off. I don't know how much work Sophie had to do to get everything moving. We're just dealing with limited information. So, what do you do?
Yeah, I do think I'd probably have tipped a little towards Sophie. I was happy to see Tyson back. I don't know. What do you guys think? Awesome.
anyone want to jump in? Tyson, Sophie, anyone else?
No, I'm telling you, Tyson was the man. That was a great episode.
Hey, Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, you don't want to pick Nick?
No, I'm good. Good. No, I will give you that. Tyson was good.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Well-reasoned, Paul. I enjoyed the Paul's Player of the Week, Tyson Apostol. And to close out our segment tonight, I know we've all been looking forward to hearing from Randy Sanga. Randy's going to give us what I believe are his top 5 favorite Survivor players of all time from the first 20 seasons.
Yeah,
Randy?
But now, I did it in a way. First of all, I was going to pick someone like Crystal Cox because I was going to pick her, right? And then I'm like, okay. For that one vote out,
Yeah.
she fucking was amazing.
Amazing.
So what I did is I went with players the first time out, not subsequently second or third or fourth time. And I also didn't go for winners. Because if I went for winners, I would have gone for JT the first time out, stuff like that. So in 5th place, Amanda Kimmel.
Ooh, the Amanda Kimmel?
Yes, in 5th place.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Survivor China.
Yep, Survivor China. You're going to give us a little bit on Amanda Kimmel?
Who?
Why you chose her?
When I first saw her, I just loved her gameplay. I love that girl next door look, which I think is very, like, you know what? It's marketable. That helped her. No, but I really, really enjoyed her gameplay. She was just genuine. The first time out. Second time, I wasn't a fan, but first time. Okay.
Okay. I think Amanda is definitely one of the top 5 Survivor babes of all time, and did play reasonably well in those seasons. If you go back to China especially, I do think that she played quite well. She just got, at the end, she couldn't bring it together and sort of outgunned Todd. I like it. Wow.
Okay. Number 4, I did not like this person in their second time out, but the first time out, Stephanie LaGrossa.
Oh.
Loved her the first time out. Come on. There were the 2 left, and then she got voted out 7th or whatever it was, but still.
It's hard to unsee her second and third time playing, though.
Yeah.
I went with first time, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
First
Okay.
time.
I don't know if anyone else remembers that season. What was it? Palau? It was Palau that Tom Westman won. But this was the tribe where it got decimated down to there were only 2 people left. Her and what? Bobby John?
Bobby John.
Bobby John. Yeah.
And so Bobby John goes, they do some fire challenge or some shit like that where Bobby John goes, and she is the only person to be on a tribe of 1.
Yes.
And I remember they did make her up to be this amazing hero, despite the fact that her tribe was a horribly shitty tribe and lost every challenge, right? Like, was she that great of a player? Clearly not, because their tribe lost all the time.
James didn't think so.
James did not think so at all in subsequent seasons. But yeah, I do remember being like, "Oh my God, Stephanie LaGrossa, she's the greatest. They got to bring her back again and again and again and again." And they did, to the point where people got a little bit sick of her. But I like that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Anybody else remember Stephanie or want to weigh in on Randy's amazing picks? Nope. You guys, she was on Heroes versus Villains, the most popular season of all time. All right.
What was she, the third boot?
I love that season.
Third boot. It is. If you're gonna rewatch a season, go watch Heroes versus Villains.
It's amazing.
It's a really
great television
great season. Really good TV. All right, Randy.
Hey, third, I don't know how to say his last name. Rob Cestarino.
Cestarino.
Yeah.
Loved him.
That's a great pick.
Gameplay.
Great
I
pick.
love everything that he did. I think he should still win. He needs to come back and win. Like, I just think he's awesome.
Randy, I don't know if you're aware, but Rob, I'm wearing this right here. It says RHAP. That's Rob has RHAP. Rob has a podcast. Rob has had a podcast about Survivor for 10 years now. He makes a living podcasting about Survivor.
He kind
He
of has
does 7 podcasts a week about Survivor.
What?
Wow.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
He has a little bit of a media empire, like a small
He's got a
media empire.
Okay,
Him and
then
Tyson do a podcast every single week.
Yeah.
And then I made a good choice.
A very good choice. My favorite player of all time, Rob Sister.
He's
Okay,
great.
number 2, I love this guy. I love the fact that he was old. I love the fact that he was Asian. Yao Man Chan. Loved him. That first season. We're only talking about first time they came out.
Mhm.
I just adored this guy. Like, he just made me feel like, oh wow, anyone can do this. And people loved him too, right? So yeah.
I have no idea who you just said.
It's
Yao
Survivor.
Man
It's
Chan.
Yao Man. It's from Survivor Fiji.
And Survivor Micronesia.
That's right.
Fans versus favorite.
Oh, now that I see his picture, I
Yeah,
remember.
I have to Google
But
it.
the name was like,
Is there a
No,
way,
she's
Junior, in
not.
the future we can put pictures up of Randy's hot picks?
yeah, you got to do a whole spreadsheet with pictures and share your screen there.
Oh, you
Ooh,
have to do a
nice.
screen share? I'll try and do a screen share next time if I get Randy's picks in advance. So
Yeah,
yeah, Man was a really, really, really great character. That was Fiji, right?
Yeah, it's Fiji.
Yeah. And then my number 1, first time out, fell in love with her. I think she's been out there 3 times or 4 times. Suri.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
That's my number 1. Suri.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's my top 5.
Now, Suri was what, Panama the first time?
Yep.
I think so.
That's
Yeah.
right. I think her second season was her best season when she
Micronesia?
played on Micronesia.
Maybe I'm getting too. But she's my
No,
number.
no, she was still great. I mean, that's what brought her back. She's been back. She's played
Yeah,
4 times in
times.
total.
4 times.
She's one of
Heroes
the first
versus villains, and then
game
Game
changers.
Changers.
She got it idled out in Advantage Get-In, where the other 5
Yeah.
people at the tribal council had an advantage, and by virtue of the fact that she didn't have one, she got voted out.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it was-
remember that.
The larger lady who got up off the couch. Jeff loves the story of how she got up off the couch to come play Survivor. Nobody thought she could play, and she's great. She's a real sneaky player, really intelligent, and was
Yep.
able to form a lot of friendships really well. So
Probably one of the top 3 players, best players who have never won the game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Would you put the Amanda Kimmel in that bracket too?
Not at all.
I love you.
Played with Amanda Kimmel twice.
I put Rob Sesternado in that bracket, though. Although he's a
Yeah.
one-time player. Or two-time player. No.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And I guess you'd put Aubrey in there as well, huh?
Oh, absolutely not.
Could be in my. She could be in my next.
Okay,
5.
we don't want to spoil Randy's potential. Maybe people in the group here will have better memories of Randy's top 5 of the last 20 seasons. Randy,
I think that was a pretty good. I think that was a really good 5, though. That was a good selections, Randy.
Okay, thanks.
you should have gone Crystal Cox the whole way.
Okay, I was gonna go Crystal, and then you know who? Alicia Calloway. Fucking love her. Alicia Calloway. Yes, I loved her. Those black girls, love them.
Okay, and with that, probably going to wrap up the episode for tonight. If anyone has any ideas for fun we're going to have Randy back, and he'll finish up his segment next week. If anyone has any ideas that they want to do, if anyone wants a little spot at the end of the show to talk about, Survivor stuff that they're really interested in, message us. Let us know. Look, the floor is yours. Paul will be back with his pick of the week, I assume.
I absolutely will. Can we just get everyone's who they think is going to be voted out next week? Just very
let's do that.
quickly, let's do that so we can see who's right or wrong next week.
All right.
Save that for the polls that Ryan's been doing. Just do the poll in the group. Who do you think's gonna?
All right, way to make me look like a fucking idiot again, Junior.
Junior, you really? I'll put a poll up, but not everyone goes to the Facebook group, and we're already here. So I'm gonna say Denise.
Ah, stole it from me.
She's a pretty big target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Denise sounds right. I don't want her to, but Denise sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fuck, I'm going to say Denise too. Come on, anyone else got anyone different?
I know.
Someone throw it at him, okay?
Steve?
I need some of the cannon fodder to go. My pool's taking a killing right now. You know what? I need Nick or Adam. They got to get, or Ben's got to do something. Come on, Ben.
Yeah, Ben's
Come
got
on,
the
Ben.
least amount of points of anyone live, doesn't he?
I know. I think I have more points than him in the game.
Yeah, but Ben considers himself to be one of the big threats.
Oh.
I love he's talking to Tyson and Tony about like,
One
we
thing
got to
I
get
think-
all the big threats out. We're all still here. Like, what?
I really want him to stay. I want him and Adam to stay because I love them together.
There's a funny dynamic there. Man.
Good TV. Good TV.
So annoyed with him. Get away, Adam.
Oh my God, dudes, you're right. Ben has fewer points than anybody still left in the game.
Then probably, I bet, what's her name? Amber has more.
Amber, no.
Oh, really?
Amber has the fewest points of anybody by a wide margin. Amber has 20 points, even with Junior giving her 5 points for giving her idol to her husband. I don't think that counts as a transaction. It's like money between spouses. Junior, if Jamie gives you money, you collectively still have the same amount of money.
So
Just give her the points.
That's why it's not. She doesn't-
That's part of it.
So we're all consensus Denise then.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got the biggest target. She's toast.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't fun at all.
If I chose someone other
Yeah,
than Denise,
that backfired.
Yeah.
I might choose Jeremy.
That was going to be my second guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
like
I
it.
don't know. Like Adam was trying to play up a little bit at the end of the episode and like, oh, he's causing problems and like you never know. It could be a he. I
I
don't know.
feel like Denise is the easy one because yes, she's made this big move for to get Sandra out, and you probably don't want her sitting there at the end. But I don't think she's next out. Like, oh my God, we have to get rid of her right now. So if for that, I would maybe lean towards maybe someone who's a little bit bigger of a threat, and I'd pick Jeremy.
The only reason I don't think it's going to be Jeremy is because let's not forget he has the peace out advantage, whereby if things don't go his way, Jeremy can leave the tribal council.
I
And do
forgot
you know who the
about
best
that.
person is at sniffing out what's going down? Like Jeremy has not used idols when everyone else in the world would have like used the idol. He's really good at reading the situation.
Really good, yeah.
I can't wait for someone to get voted out holding an idol because someone's going to get points for that.
Oh, how many points is that?
There's points.
Why do we do that? The shittier you play, the more points you
The
get.
more points.
All right, well, any closing words from anyone regarding...
If Survivor is voted out with an advantage, a game advantage, or an idol, they'll get 10 points.
10 points. Wow.
Okay, well, I don't know how that could ever influence how people pick.
I have a question.
Okay.
Tracy.
Oh, Tracy, go ahead, Junior.
Tracy is someone in the pool. She lives in Winnipeg. She's a friend of a couple people I know out
Is
here
she
who
in
are also
here?
in the pool.
No,
Huh?
but was she in this chat? Because I had her in my screen here the entire
Yeah,
time.
she just left.
Yeah, she just left. She left the meeting.
Oh, but she wasn't visual.
No, she was just listening. She was probably on her treadmill. She's been in every one of them.
Okay.
She's pretty active in the group.
Yeah.
She's had her
actually-
mic muted in all of the chats too.
Oh, okay.
I have a real quick fun story that maybe will amuse you guys. So last night, I'm at home making dinner. It's about 8:20, and I looked down at my phone and I see somebody's called. It's Randy. Randy doesn't regularly call me, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What's going on? So I immediately have to call Randy back because this has got to be interesting. It's Randy, and what happens? Before I even start, Randy starts talking. I pick up the phone and I say, Randy, don't spoil Survivor. I haven't seen any of Survivor yet. Okay. All right. But look, watch. I'm PVRing it. I'm going to watch it a little later in the evening, but I'm going to watch it. He's like, okay, fine. Just as soon as you watch the commercial break, you got to call me back. I'm like, sure, no problem, Randy. I can't. And so Caitlin and I are like, oh my God, what's going on? This has got to be the hugest. Randy doesn't understand. He's texting me. He's like, I don't understand what just happened. So as soon as I watched the first commercial break, and all that's happened is that what's happened? Tyson's come back in the game, and then everybody else, who's all the Edge people, have left. And then I call Randy back, and then Randy doesn't pick up the phone. Correct. Randy doesn't pick up the phone. And so he texts me, he's like, oh, sorry, what were you doing? Cooking or something?
I don't know.
And he's like, yeah, sorry, I was cooking. I couldn't get back to you, but I don't understand. The people who are still left on Edge, are they on the jury or are they totally out of it? And at that point, I guess I didn't know. I had to go back and figure it out. They're on the jury, but they and then he's like, well, you got to call me. Just call me. We'll talk about it. So I call back again. No answer at all. I text him, and that's it. Randy's flaked out for the rest. I guess Randy figured it out on his own.
You know how you figure it out? They weren't in all makeup at the end when they're on the jury.
I was so confused because I thought
That's how I figured it out.
Tyson's in, they're all gone, and then they show up at the jury, and then somehow they're still in the game, and Wendell shows up with them.
Jeff clearly said at the end of the challenge that they're all going back to Edge of Extinction, but you are coming to Tribal because you are all on the jury.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're in the game.
Yeah, but if they're not going to send them back to Edge of Extinction if they're out of the game.
Yeah, they would just put them at Ponderosa where they can get drunk and make out.
And
This is where I'm so confused. I didn't understand why they were looking the way they were looking. Still,
Which is shitty. Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, why are they? I don't get it. Like, why? I don't get it. So yeah, that's why I was like,
That's okay. It was great, Randy. Please do that in the future. I love it. So fun. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight. Feel free to reach out if you have any comments at all, and be active in our Facebook page. And if there's something you want to do for next week, let me know. That wraps it up for tonight. What's that?
Yeah, Paul, get on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm working on it.
That's not gonna.
It's a work in progress.
We're not gonna see
Paul
that.
on Facebook.
Paul and I should have a competition for who has more notifications when they sign in. I don't check it ever either.
It's going to be like birthday wishes for like 10 years.
So many people have messaged you to tell you that a loved one has died, and you just have no.
Whatever. I don't have that many loved ones.
Missed those funerals. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. Until then, we got nothing else for you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
bye. Thank you.